Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Go Rogue Podcast. My name is Brian Fitton. This is the podcast dedicated to marketers, small business owners, people who are trying to do marketing differently, right?
Yes.
Yes. And that awesome voice, the voice of Go Rogue,
Not the voice.
the co-host, my awesome co-host, Miss Lauren Lewis. How's it going?
It's going good. How are
Good.
you?
Man, this is a special episode.
Tell us why.
Because Miss Lauren Lewis she's going to be running this show. Not like she doesn't run the other shows, but she's definitely going to be running this one. And so I'm very excited to have you lead this thing.
All right.
Or I get to answer or ask you questions.
No pressure here.
Yeah. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about, do you need an editorial calendar? Do you, Lauren?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely is the right answer. And if you don't have one, we're going to talk about how you can get one and make it easy and the reasons why you need one. And then obviously any kind of follow-up, you guys make sure to reach out to us at GoRogueX on Instagram, but also subscribe. If you're not already, subscribe to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well.
Absolutely.
Give us a rating or review because we always try to make sure to bring the most value that we can. And if you feel like that's true, then give us a rating. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So before we get into all of this awesome content, we'd like to start off with something fun, right?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So we always start our episodes off with, what are you obsessed with this week? So Brian, I know what you're obsessed with. So tell us about it.
She asked me ahead of time, and I'm very excited about this. So for about 10 years, over 10 years,
a long time,
I have always wanted a set of in-ear monitors. In-ear monitors, right?
Yes.
Okay. I have to make sure I say it correctly. So it is one of those things, like I played music in a band, played worship music on stage. And so you're always kind of struggling to like hear your mix in your actual headphones and stuff. And so I've used different earbuds and whatnot, but obviously to get custom ones that like fit in my ear that go down. So anyway, I was very excited. So Clear2 monitors, for those of you guys watching, I'm using them right now.
They look fantastic.
Thanks so much. Yeah, but a friend of mine, Jason Height, he does audio and stuff at our church. And so he's always like, he's good friends with those guys. And he's like, you got to go with CTM. So anyway, ordered them last year. Forgot to send my molds in, all the things. They run a big special. And so anyway, but they sent them. They actually have my name on the case. If you're watching right now, this cool
So
little
fancy.
case. And I got the Go Rogue logo on them too.
So cool.
Yeah. You're so funny to see your face. You're like, oh, yeah, so cool.
They are cool. They do look cool.
They just look like hearing aids. That's all.
Well, I mean, when you first look at them, but then when you look closer, they're definitely not hearing aids.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny. You've showed me 2 cases today for your cool inner ear or in-ear.
Yes, in-ear monitors.
And then your toothbrush.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I will talk about my toothbrush the next episode. Get ready for that one. So very excited about
today
that.
is case day.
It is. Yeah, awesome cases. Okay, so Lauren, what are you obsessed with?
So mine's kind of weird, but I don't know about you, but with small children, you see a lot of really, really bad kids movies because there's just a lot out there.
Yeah, there are.
So when my husband is gone, like hanging out with some friends, I usually try to do like a popcorn party with my 2 little boys and everything, and we get a movie from Redbox. So we got Abominable, with the little like Yeti.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was like shocked. This movie was really good, and I was like, oh, I was so pleasantly surprised. It was super cute. I'm also a big fan of like violin music, and that's like within the whole score because the main character, is a violinist. And the Yeti was really cute, and my kids actually were engaged and they actually sat and watched it, which is something to be said. I have a 3.5-year-old and an 18-month-old, so that is something.
Yeah.
So it was really cute, and my boys had actually talked about it afterwards, so it was like clearly impressionable too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always a pleasant surprise when you find a kids movie that's actually good.
Yeah. No,
so
I completely agree.
I highly endorse it if you have children, or if you don't, I mean, and you like animated films.
Yeah.
Abominable.
We watched Smallfoot. That's kind of in that same category, but
right.
Yeah,
my Fox did not like it at all.
That's interesting.
It is interesting because I thought it was very good.
He's been over to our house a few times. He's probably seen it too many times. So.
He's probably like, I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm done with it. This is a Fittens movie. It is the worst. I don't even want to watch it at my house. So, all right. Hey, those were good.
Yeah.
Those are really good. And by the way, you sound awesome in my clear tune.
Well, you look
monitors.
fantastic with them.
It's patronizing me over here. All right. Hey, I'm very excited. Let's jump into this. I've got the
Yep.
notes that you provided, Lauren.
There you go.
Lauren always does awesome notes for our episodes, so it's always super exciting. So we have. Do I get to do all this stuff? The overview and stuff.
No,
here?
I can do it. You
I
can do
always
it.
do
It's
it.
whatever.
Yeah. No.
So today we're going to be talking about, do you need an editorial calendar? And the fact is, for a business, or even if it's like an influencer, when you're thinking about your content, you really need to have a plan in place. A lot of businesses do not. And so when they're thinking about, what do I need to post? They just kind of grab whatever they can find, something funny, whatever. And the problem is that it just typically does not resonate with your audience as strongly as if you had planned out your content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so on top of that, when we deal with social media all day long, it takes a lot of time. And so really investing your time in social media that's going to work is totally worth it.
Yeah.
To sit down and plan. And so an editorial calendar can look like anything, really. It can be a whiteboard. It can be a printable calendar. It can be a massive spreadsheet. It can be within an actual digital platform that schedules out your content. You can store everything in there. But we're looking at some kind of plan that you've put in place to make your content the most impactful. And so for me, when I look at what are the qualities of an editorial calendar and what do you need, it's really where it allows your content to be strategic, timely, consistent, and varied. And really, when you do that, you're going to be engaging your audience where they are with content that they're interested in at times they're actually on your platform. And I think that really helps really give you the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I mean, we've learned this over time too, of like working with other people. Obviously, the importance of having an editorial calendar, because you're thinking about it, you're planning it out. We do that a lot with podcasting, right? It's like making sure it's seasonal, making sure that whatever is happening at the time. And we've gone into this with in other episodes, but really making sure that you're intentional about your content, rather than just like, oh, that picture looks good, okay, let's put that one up.
Yes.
And so it's also very freeing if you have that in place and you have a plan, strategic, and you know what your objectives are. It's absolutely a great idea. So all right, so let's jump into it.
Sure.
Right. So we talk about what do we need to do to be strategic in what we're doing with our content.
Sure. So the first thing would be, just having an editorial calendar alone and sitting down just to even think about the content is going to up it just one level in itself. But typically what we're seeing across a lot of platforms is it used to be that you need to post 20 million times a day, as much content as possible. And we are all about producing lots of content.
Yeah.
But a practical and realistic goal is to aim for 3 to 5 pieces of content a week.
Yep.
And these pieces need to be quality and things that reflect your brand and your message. Okay. So this isn't just sharing a funny GIF. That could be part of your brand. And I'm not saying don't do that, but be really thinking about what is going to add value to my audience. And so when we do what we call 4 pillars with a lot of our clients, it's focusing on what are your core values and what are the things that you want to focus on. So even on this podcast, we split our content into 4 pillars, and we talk about, okay, we're going to be talking about podcasting this week. Next week, we're going to talk about social media. And the next week, then we're going to talk about video. And what that helps with is that you're really encompassing everything about your brand, and you're not missing out on some of the services that you provide or some of the things that you're all about, because people want to know more about your brand. Also with that, we really strongly feel, if you do not already have a messaging guide, that is a really helpful resource, and we can do another podcast on the helpful tools of a messaging guide. But this is for those of you who are not familiar with the messaging guide, it really helps you understand kind of your main message that's going out. And when you combine that with an editorial calendar, it's very impactful because you're consistently posting the same type of message with the same type of content.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's we've had like Brad Alexander on before to talk about really that messaging guide, because you want to be consistent and clear with your messaging and know who exactly you're talking to. And so it is one of those things that I think Brad has even helped us kind of understand that too.
Yes.
And so I will say that having a consistent message across the board is going to be great. But then also just we talk about the archetypes too. I think
Mhm.
we've discussed that before, and understanding what really motivates that person you're talking to,
Yes.
right? And so I think those are all very, very important. So good. That absolutely is great for a strategic side of things.
Awesome. So another that we talk about is the consistency aspect. So kind of our second, we talked about being strategic with an editorial calendar and being consistent. And I think consistency is probably one of the most important of all of these. Really, we've seen across the platforms is that if you're consistent, you will have consistent engagement and consistent growth as well. And so if you're not being consistent and you're frustrated as to why you're not growing, that's it right there. You really should be consistent. And one of the ways to do that is getting a scheduling platform. And a lot of people have tried to do this. You know, you might have a social media manager, or if you don't, you're trying to do it all yourself. Having one of these tools really helps, and it provides and saves you so much time. And we've actually tried a ton. We've tried like Hootsuite, we've tried Meet Edgar, we've tried Later. And the platform that we're currently using is Sendable. And the reason that we are using that platform is because it encompasses so many platforms. We schedule out a lot of content to a lot of different platforms, and it's very helpful to find that one that can encompass all of those. So I can put a piece of content, the same piece of content, to 4 different platforms, and it allows me to edit to each different platform
Yeah.
and tag in each different platform.
Yep.
That's something that is really, really helpful to us. But you may not need that kind of powerhouse of a scheduling platform. And so it does take a little bit of time, but it really pays off to do the research of what platform works for you. Specifically, if you're only doing 3 channels, you do not need a scheduling platform that supports 99 channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why would you pay for that?
Yep.
And so I know Later is a great platform. Specifically, if you just are doing just your business's social media handles, that's a fantastic platform to go in. It's very affordable and it does some really good work.
Yeah.
So definitely just look at the different features that each one has because they all typically offer different ones. And one thing that we're very passionate about is we do not like push notifications.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it was very important to us to find a platform that would directly post to our clients or ourselves Instagram without getting a push notification.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are a lot out there. I mean, even we talked about Later before. Later is
Mhm.
one that we absolutely love, but there are a lot of push notifications for that. And so that
Yes.
was what they built it around. And I mean, honestly, here in the past year and a half, I mean, has really
Mhm.
changed. Instagram has changed kind of their policies with that because before you couldn't have any type of automated system. Like you had to be on your phone, posting from your phone, and there was nothing on the back end of that, which I think made the experience a little more real. But if you're trying to engage with the platform, like it's about the engagement, not necessarily the posting, like
Yes.
being there to comment and making sure
Mhm.
that you're updated with, and engaging your audience. That really is the most important thing. So I'm glad that they kind of let down on their standards with that. So
Sure. And I will say, like, a helpful tip is if you're going in every day to create a post, that is really tiring.
yeah,
And it lends itself to if you have a busy schedule, you're going to forget and push it off. And so having a scheduling platform where you can sit down and maybe devote an hour or two to schedule out your content for the week means that you are going to be consistent and you've saved yourself so much time. And it also prevents burnout, I
yeah,
should say. And so I schedule a lot of content, and these are definites for me. If you are a business, you need to find a platform that helps you do that.
yeah, absolutely. It's talking the same thing with batch recording with the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you're consistently recording on. Set up a day so that way you're in that mindset, you're in that zone. Set up a time to actually schedule out all your content for the month or for the next couple of weeks or whatever it looks like. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about strategic stuff. We talked about being consistent. What about the types of content?
So, I mean, first, think about your brand and what is appropriate to your brand. If you have a very serious brand, it's probably not wise to be just posting gifts and like funny little things that
Yeah,
look like they're
yeah,
from the 90s or something. It's like you need to think about what you're collecting. But we really say to vary up your content because we are obviously huge fans of video, but your users are going to appreciate when you vary your content, when you're providing like a really cool video and then you're doing a behind the scenes picture, and then you're providing a really educational article about like top 10 trends for your industry. Like all of those things are really hitting all the points of your audience because you do have people that are big readers as opposed to those who are big video
yeah,
watchers.
yeah,
And so you don't want to just alienate everybody. Obviously, understanding though And we will say this, and you've seen this probably or heard this in previous episodes, video is king.
Yeah.
It is the most important piece of content. If you are not doing video, you are missing out on a huge portion of your audience, because video is the most demanded piece of content. But it doesn't have to be the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think one thing to keep in mind too is you want to stop the scroll, right?
Mhm.
People are scrolling, and even customizing per platform, right?
Yep.
The verbiage you're using on LinkedIn is going to be different than the verbiage you're using on Facebook or Instagram, right? You have to understand the mindsets of people whenever they're on that platform. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize is, oh, I'm just going to post everything, same thing to everywhere. And that it will not communicate with that audience, right? And so just making sure to be mindful of what is actually going to stop somebody in their tracks when they're just thumbing through, right? And they're actually going to stop on your content, and make sure that it's designed for that platform, not just formatted correctly, but actually the content itself is designed for that platform and that user. So
Absolutely. And I think when we look at like varying your content, you might think all of a sudden, well, I don't have a lot of pictures. So I don't have that many videos. And this is where when you have an editorial calendar, you can look and say, okay, we are going to need to document all around our business to be able to provide this kind of content. We're going to need to go live on Facebook on these particular days. And that's where an editorial calendar comes in handy, so that it's not a mad scramble every day. Oh, we got to post something, and it doesn't even resonate with your audience because it was last minute. It feels last minute. But with an editorial calendar, it can really resonate with your audience because you've planned it that way.
yeah.
And so we really suggest to document everything. Really invest in a couple apps that maybe help you to edit your photos off of your phone. They're very affordable, and just a simple filter and some adjustments of like lighting can really make a huge difference. As well as just taking video. You'd be surprised what people are interested in. We're all about the behind the scenes. And so people want to know what makes your business tick. And so document that and let them kind of see the behind the scenes so that they can be part of your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. I think that's really good. It goes back to Gary Vee. He always says, document, don't create.
There you
It's a good
go.
quote.
Bringing
It's a
Gary
good
Vee
quote.
back.
Always. Always. All right. So we talked about, let's kind of go through these again. One, strategic, consistent, got to have varied pieces of content.
Mhm.
And what's next? What's the last one here?
Timely.
It's our last one.
It
It
is
is
the
our
last
last one.
one.
Oh, wow. We're just moving right along here.
Yeah,
That's good.
we're making progress. We're being timely.
Ah,
So, I mean, when we're thinking about a calendar, literally timely is a huge one. When you're looking over your calendar, even if you have like a printable calendar, write down the days, like if there's holidays going on, write down if there's big like awareness days. We work with a pediatric dental office, and she's really good about making sure she knows what days awareness days and everything. And she's been able to do some really cool
yeah.
posts that really engage with her audience, and they're really excited to talk about this particular awareness day. And it may not even have anything to do with pediatric dentistry,
No.
but it has everything to do with her audience, and that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
And so really thinking over, and even seems silly, but think also about the time of the year it is. Is it freaking cold outside? Is it really hot? Because there's certain things within your industry that might matter.
Yeah.
And so specifically, like, if you're an outdoor pool, and you're trying to, I mean, there's so many things that you can do, and you can think about the time of year and the mindset people are in. One of the big ones I always think about is January.
Mm-hmm.
Because right after Christmas, a lot of people are having their New Year's resolutions. A lot of people have spent a ton of money, and so they're saving money. And so thinking about getting into that mindset, this might not be the time to like, hey, I want you to spend all your money on these big pushes, save that for the next month. And so it's really thinking about, how do I utilize these days to engage with my audience and think about what is their mindset, not mine, what is theirs. Because if you can connect with your audience where they are at, then you're going to hit gold in the engagement area.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to piggyback off what you said with Amy and that PDA, no, they actually, so they focused on Martin Luther King Day, where she was able to involve a lot of the schools. And then even on top of that, I mean, they're into like Girl Scout cookie season. And so they really promoted the Girl Scout. It's probably the opposite effect of what you would think a dentist office would do, is like sugary cookies.
Yeah.
But they're like, we know people are going to eat these, and we want to support our kids, who are the most important, but then also educate on how to make sure to take care of their teeth after they eat these cookies. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff where it's like very involved. But even again, it doesn't even have the Martin Luther King Day. Like she did a lot of stuff around that and really um, promoted that and promoted like the local schools and stuff. It had nothing to do with dentistry.
Sure.
Which was a really big deal. And so that goes into, I mean, obviously that timely factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it also goes into the fact that that was one of her 4 pillars, is that this particular business cares about the community. And so they were actually covering not only one of their pillars, but also the timeliness in the calendar.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It's like she did awesome.
Yeah.
So this also leads into knowing your analytics. And I think we sometimes use analytics just to make us feel good. We're like, oh, I got all these posts, everything's green,
Everybody
nothing's
liked
red.
it,
Yeah, it was great. And I'm going to tell you, really, your likes, by the way, aren't really the thing you should be looking at. You know, your follower count is a lot more telling, as well as the comments that you're getting. That conversations, those real conversations you're having, is what you're really wanting to look for. But using your analytics is really important. It's not something to be ignored. It's really understanding, when is my audience on my particular platforms and what time are they actually engaging with my content. And so we have particular clients that their audience is on at 9 a.m. in the morning. That's one of the times that they're, or we have another client, it's at between 3 and 6 p.m. of the day, because it's after school and a lot of them are moms. And so, you know, it's like, you got to know this, because if you're always posting at 9 a.m., but they're not on until 6 p.m. at night, you're missing them.
Yeah.
You really are. And so it's really important to understand that, as well as days of the week. A lot of us do a lot of business day calendars, but there are times where it is important to maybe catch those who are on the weekends as well. And so if you know that and you have an editorial calendar and you're planning for the month, it's easy for you to schedule that out. If you're doing it day to day, it gets really hard.
Yeah. Well, and even going back to that, you know exactly what days to post as well. Like we've talked about that in the past. But just making sure, you know, times are important, because it's not always about you. And that's what a lot of times people are like, well, I don't look at Facebook till like, you know, 8 o'clock at night when the kids are, you know, getting in bed or whatever, and I'm finally resting. That may not be the case. Like I would have never thought, you know, a mom sitting in carpool line or, you know, pickup line is like, that's when they're kind of consuming content. That's when they're taking a break right before they get all the kids and go home and do dinner and all the things. And so it's very important. So
because everyone's strapped down. They can't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing with timeliness is you can also plan really special days. And that can really help you when you're trying to brainstorm content, which we do have an episode that you can go check, brainstorming quality content ideas. So totally check out that for when you're feeling a little bit in a dry spell of trying to figure out what should I post. But something like a staff spotlight, a lot of businesses do this, and it's kind of knowing, hey, every Tuesday, I know that people are on, and we're going to spotlight our staff so people get to know them. Obviously, it helps if you have a large staff to do that, because you might run out. If we were here at Go Rogue, it might be a really quick spotlight. But if you have a larger company, that's great. But you can also do other fun things like, you know, fun tips or free tip Fridays. There's so many things that you can do. It doesn't have to be an alliteration either. But it can really help that, you know, hey, today is Tuesday and this is what we do on Tuesdays. And do that.
Wednesdays. We wear pink on Wednesdays.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And do that. And that can help you. But also make sure to check if that is not resonating with your audience. Please stop it.
Yeah.
Don't do it anymore just because, well, it's Tuesday. That's what we're supposed to do. See if it works. But it's also a helpful way just to be a reminder to you.
Yeah, I think this is great to actually just plug that into everything. Test everything.
Yes.
Right? Don't get set on something. Like test it out. See if it works. Go do a month or two or a quarter and actually see, okay, hey, let's look back over the quarter. Okay, this content was really engaging. People seem to comment. This content was good. We switched up the times and, you know, okay, we need to go back to a certain time. Like pay attention to those types of things. I mean, that's really important stuff to obviously just test it. Don't hold on to something because it's Free Tip Friday. We have to do it. It's Friday.
Right.
I think that was a good point.
Absolutely. So I have a quote.
Oh, yes.
From Hootsuite. So if you're not familiar with Hootsuite, is a platform that helps you schedule your content. And they said 1/3 of your content should promote your business or generate leads. 1/3 of your content comes from other sources that align with your business. And 1/3 of your content should engage with followers directly, either through answering questions, responding to comments, or reposting user-generated content. So right there, it's just a good reminder. And sometimes I feel like this is maybe posted a little bit too much about, but people aren't following it. So that's why, is that you really should not be just promoting your services every single day, every single hour. Hey, come in. You have to buy our product, buy our product, buy our product. Because people tune out. Like they're not going to want to buy your product until they trust you and feel like you are the person that has their best interest in mind. And you're going to do that through other pieces of your content.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's what, I mean, we go back to Gary Vee talking
Mhm.
about jab, 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 right hook, giving value, giving value, giving value before you actually ask for a sale. Because nobody likes that. They don't like, personally, you don't like to be treated like that. So why would you think that your audience and your potential customers like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of when we think about all the things that we've talked about is being strategic, being consistent, being varied with your content, and being timely. And really, what I would highly suggest is taking a time once a month to kind of sit down and do this maybe with somebody else. So it's not just by yourself thinking to yourself, and kind of bounce ideas for the month of what you have, and then kind of thinking through, okay, what do I need to create in order to be able to do that? If you are in a place where you feel like I want to produce content, but I don't know how, I would like to repurpose my content, talk to us because we love talking to other businesses about repurposing your content.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge passion of ours, of being able to take one piece of content and chop it up and make it relevant for that specific platform, because that is hard to do. It's hard to
Absolutely.
take that time to know what tools to use to figure out. I mean, I know just even for us, I mean, creating our own content, it's like, how in the world do we just record this video?
Yep.
Like that is a big deal, and trying to make it perfect, trying to make sure it communicates, like all the things that you have to do. So being able to actually repurpose that is a big deal, and we'd love to help you out with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Lauren, that was really good. Hey, make sure that you guys in the comments
Oh my gosh.
give Lauren a super big shout out for the awesomeness of this episode.
Thank you, Brad.
We're just gonna have to keep this doing this a regular thing where you run the show. I like this. This is nice.
It was nice for you to sit back and relax.
It was. I'm actually paying attention to the board and making sure everything's running in a tip top shape. So, hey, thank you guys so much. Here, why don't you do our send off?
I don't know.
Yeah. How do you close us out here, Lauren? Where do they
Wow.
need to go to find out more information?
Yes, you can find us at goroguex.com, and you can find us on most, I guess, podcast platforms.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we totally encourage you to subscribe so you get all the latest tips and tricks about all things content related
Yeah.
or podcasting related,
Yeah.
for sure. And we really appreciate you listening.
What else do they need to do?
Oh, Brian, I'm not rehearsed for this.
Make sure you guys subscribe if you
I
haven't
just
already.
said that.
You did say that? I didn't hear it. Okay, somebody needs to correct us. Who was right in this?
Okay.
Make sure you let us know. Hey, thanks, Lauren.
No
You're
problem.
awesome. All right, we'll see you guys next week. All right, Lauren, are you ready for rapid fire? I get to do this
Okay,
one.
great.
I'm going to do these. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring it
for
on.
Rapid fire. Here we go. Define the word.
Zeitgeist.
Why was it going to be the hardest thing? Zeitgeist?
Hey, I didn't look it up.
Oh, okay. Define it then.
Okay.
You had some time to think about it, though.
I know, and I still am like,
Zeitgeist. Okay.
like it makes me think of like the ghost word. What is that? It's
poltergeist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
okay.
like maybe like a geological formation,
Okay, that's good.
like a stalactite or something.
Zeitgeist. I'm gonna say it's like an exorcist who,
Oh my
who
gosh.
pulls people out of poltergeist, or like they interact with poltergeist, and so they're a zeitgeist. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure this one out.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
gonna have to
definitely have to
look
look
this
that one
one out. Okay, next rapid fire question. What's the lamest dessert that people try to pass off as a dessert?
Yogurt parfaits. It's not a dessert. It's like a breakfast item. I see those things all the time. We're like, we put like strawberries in yogurt and a little granola. I'm like, that's breakfast. That's not a dessert.
Ooh, yeah. There's what was the I'm thinking of the opposite. So I grew up with a family that was from the West Coast, and for some reason they always had Jello as part of their dinner.
Oh,
Like Jello, just regular gelatin.
just grab a scoop of Jello on your dinner plate.
It's like mashed potatoes and gravy and turkey and Jello.
Oh, that's weird.
I was like, well, why aren't we saving this till the end?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
this is sweet. It's a dessert.
Right.
Like, no, we have dessert. We have Jello on our plates. So I don't know. I was thinking the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Dessert. I can't think of anything. That's the only thing I thought of was the flip. It never made any sense.
Well, I
to
think
me.
Jello's pretty lame to pass off as a dessert
That
as
is
well.
true too. Yeah.
Here's this glob that's colored. Enjoy it.
It's full of sugar.
Oh gosh.
Deliciousness. All right.
We'll look up zeitgeist and figure out what it means.
Yeah, we're gonna do it right now, actually, real quick. Oh, it's like the first
what is
Zeitgeist movie. There's a movie out.
Oh, I hope it's not inappropriate. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah. All right. The defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that.
The story captured the zeitgeist of the late 1960s.
Oh my goodness. It's not about ghosts.
It's not about ghosts at all. What is this?
So that's your vocabulary word of the day, listeners.
There's some weird stuff though, this Zeitgeist movie. You guys need to check it out. Zeitgeist the movie. We're gonna watch it. You can play the trailer on YouTube. We're gonna do that after this. So let us know if you watch the Zeitgeist. Dang. All right, we're out.